Also, we got to go ahead and get, um, uh, man, my homie, my co-host, somebody who I uh, adore because of who she is as a person, her talents, her dedication to the community. Uh, I'm mad because she made it to the Christmas NBA game on TV before I did. Um, but it's always a joy to be able, and it's funny I say joy because uh, she's my co-host for the Black Joy Parade every February. I'm her co-host really because I'll be up there doing anything. She running the show. But if y'all could go ahead and drop some ones out there for Ryan Nicole. About to hop on the thing right now.
About to hop on the thing right now. I'm lighting up some incense as we speak. I'm glad to be in the room. Wow. DC, that is my brother. I didn't think I'm not really, I'm kind of a thug, you know what I'm saying? At least I used to be. And didn't have a lot of like feelings and emotions and all of that once upon a time. And then I had a child and that whole thing changed. And now like I feel even more emotional and sentimental because we're in this time together. Like, you guys, we're experiencing history together. We're making history together. This is a time when people will all tell our grandkids. And I think, we romanticize that kind of stuff. God willing, we survive and we have grandbabies. And we'll tell our grandkids, we survived through this. Like, some of our grandparents talked about the Depression and, some other people's grandparents talked about the Holocaust and all that kind of stuff. We are surviving an epic era collectively. And I'm sentimental because I know that we're here together and we're doing it together. And I'm grateful for the circle of people and souls that I'm in who keep me sane in this time. I really feel sorry for people who are surrounded by emotional and spiritual vampires. This is not the time to be around people who will suck your energy. And so, just looking at like the room even right now, I just feel affirmed. I feel reflected. I feel like we're connecting on all the same frequencies and vibrations and all of that. So, in the spirit, I'm a performer, and as a performer, like, I think I got into this work, to say what I want to say and be able to tell my truth and all of that. But the reality is, it's also that I am somebody who likes to please people. You know what I'm saying? I bless you, whoever that was. I hope you don't talk to the camera. Be careful now. Don't give your camera the COVID. All right. But as a performer, I want to please people. Like, I want to do the right thing to make people feel like, oh, yay, this is a good moment for me or whatever. But we're in a very special time. And I am asking, as a performer, for you to yield yourselves to the time that we're in, to this moment, to the energy that's moving, for us not to be vibrating in a space of inauthenticity. Like, I told Tracy or Exotic Arts that Kenneth Harding Jr.'s video was one of the first ones that I watched, without any, like, I was just wide open watching the video, didn't protect my spirit. It's 2011, wasn't ready. And that imagery is still imprinted on my psyche. It's still imprinted on my soul. I can't not see Kenneth Harding dying in a pool of his own blood. And now, almost a decade later, to know that there are those that we see on video and all of those that we've seen on video for these 10 years, but there are all of those that we don't see on video. And they're existing, I'm sure while Kenneth was passing, while Oscar was passing, while George was passing, while Brianna was passing, and all the countless names, there were those that were passing by the hands of law enforcement or extra vigilante killers, who we don't know, and we don't have their name, and we don't get to say their name, and they don't get a hashtag and all of that. And just to know that we exist in a space, in a country that is so bloodthirsty, and is a it's a sobering realization, and it's one that I ask that we sit in. And I know, you know, I'm rambling, but I know I got a little extra time because I don't know if Prentice is here.
You're not rambling. You're not.
Okay.
Say this as you know, I'm in tears. I'm like, I'm on live and I'm wiping my tears and thank you,
Bless you, sis.
thinking about my nephew and thinking this, you know, this is real.
This is real.
The revolution is live, and we just didn't expect it to be as live as it could be.
Live.
Now I'm just grateful to be in a place where I can actually push my line. And then my nephew, like his legacy, he's talking about him. That's all we wanted to do was just be able to be in a place where we could talk about him. 2020, we still talking about this man. It's almost 9 years.
Yeah, and I hope you never stop talking about him. But I hope that, you know, you get to talk about him with some reconciliation. I hope we get to talk about all these people with reconciliation. We don't add another hashtag, you feel me? But, you know, we are on hallowed ground. This whole country was plundered from, as we all know, from peoples who existed before. This whole country was built on the backs of sweat, equity, blood, and tears of the other indigenous people, and it continues to act with impunity in the space of rape, pillage, and plunder. And so the piece that I want to share with you is I want to share two pieces, but the first one is a work in progress, and I come to you in a space of real vulnerability because I don't share works in progress. I like to be right. I like to have all my facts checked. I like not to offend mostly, like even though I'm an artist and I should offend. But this is going to be offensive because it's raw. It's raw as fuck. So here we go.
Yeah.
White privilege, and just sit with it. White privilege is euthanasia. It is choosing how and how comfortably life will end for whomever. With wide-eyed wonder, I witness this audacity, this slithering capacity to challenge God as if they are made of their own hands. There is no fear of death in them whose bellies are driven to the earth, whose nostrils are filled with a daily decay. It is home. So the grave for them conjures a nostalgia the way humid sun rays nag our people's hearts till our bodies move to porches and stoops in June. We find our lives affirmed at high noon in the brightest light. And at the same time, that's when they recoil for shade. When death is innate, it is an adornment, a necklace of ears, fence posts of skulls, a badge and a waistband of armaments to affirm an ability to make the toll. When death is native, it is the language of a particular kind of romance, a sonnet, an entranced attraction to protect and serve on a platter cold. When death is inborn, a battered corpse is an ornamental appetizer and a moose bouche that excites the palate for the meal to come. Death, intrinsic, is an unquenchable hunger. It is no wonder my people's entreats for equality are misconstrued as a request for a perverse communion with them to share in the singeing of flesh, the wringing of necks, even if the throats are our own. They must believe it as a favor to share with us their benefit, their necrophilia, and send us to this beloved home. White murder for them is Black privilege. White privilege then is Black murder. We exist, hoping to live, yearning to thrive, consigning our lives to invisibility for survival, asking our sons to shine, but not too bright, because there's a natural doom in high noon. We marvel at our daughters bloom and shame their glorious petals all at once, praying they be more morning glories and moonflower than lavender, ever careful not to draw envy. I trust it truly pisses God off to ignore a field of purple. When will we stop feigning blind? This anti-Blackness is an incubus we've incubated since infancy. We cooed and sang mother sweet assurances and wet nursed, suckled the succubus. We offered their pink gums to our exposed breasts, not expecting they'd eventually grow fangs, though their parents bore the same. We've known this death, though perhaps by a different name: captor, captain, overseer, officer, missionary, misanthrope, and by now we should know it seeks nothing, if not more of its own. Today, our test is to be unswayed by insolence disguised as innocence, as benign obliviousness. In decisions, there are only two roads. There's only ignorance or willfulness. When your posture of surrender is weaponized for their regular privilege, then mimicked as a gestural gimmick, you must know there is a consciousness to this. White murder is Black privilege, which then means Black murder is white privilege. There is an intent to dismiss, to diminish until we forget and offer mother's milk again. When an embrace is the offering, as if it's not reminiscent of the chokehold that took Eric Garner's last breath, there is no intent to take fingers off triggers. No doubt we're triggered. White murder for them is Black privilege. Again, white privilege is euthanasia. It is choosing how and how comfortably life will end for whomever. I witnessed this audacity to challenge God as if they are made of their own hands. There is no fear of death in them whose bellies are driven to the earth. Our worth is greater than asking the savage to respect our humanity. All I ask is that we properly assess our adversary to mitigate this tradition of constant casualty, this white murder as Black privilege, this white privilege as Black death.
You dope as fuck. You are dope as fuck. You dope as fuck.
So let's do this song right quick.
Everything I heard from here on out is dope as I don't know what. I love y'all. I love y'all. Y'all made my life like here. Like, thank you.
Love you more.
My life grant.
Love you more. All I ask really though is that we really acknowledge how formidable this enemy is. I think, you know, we're people of comfort, all of us. All human beings like comfort. We like to be comfortable, and we lack discipline because we want to be complacent. We want to be comfortable. And so in times like this, you know, we are forced into this space of discomfort, and you better know the powers that be are trying to get us back into Target, and trying to get us back into our jobs, trying to get us back to watch NBA and baseball and in the club and all of that, because in this space, we recognize how fucking uncomfortable this is. How uncomfortable this country is for everybody.
Can I say this? And I'm put this out there for everybody to hear this because it's real. You know, my father thought that this is the end of the world. So I'm starting a foundation for my father. My father committed suicide 2 months ago.
Oh my God.
Because he thought that this was the end of the world. He didn't think that whatever he was going through he was going to be able to live through this. He thought that, like, he couldn't breathe for so long that my father was like, I'm not even going to breathe no more. So I'm doing that. Like, I'm dealing with Kenneth Harding Jr. Foundation, but it's on the throes of my father's foundation. Because what are we going to do outside of this quarantine? Right. I appreciate this. This is, like, so blood. It's so like everything. We all talking, we all having a conversation. And then we really solve some things in the world.
We will.
I feel like that conversation too is something that's really helpful. And I feel like this is a good moment to throw this in here. We do have a guest that's viewing tonight. Shout out to Fabiana. She is actually offering pro bono therapy for 2 clients a week. If anybody's interested, she is a licensed Black therapist. I will put her email and information up in this chat. Her focus is on trauma, grief, family, couples, substance abuse. So you guys want to take her up on that offer.
Ooh, I'm putting put ones in the chat. I love it. I love it.
I love it. It's like loving the fact that it's even being offered, because that's the thing that we need to do in our community.
I say, let us heal.
Yes.
One of my processes, well, the way I heal is through arts, and so I hope that I'm not opening wounds and, uh, you know, irresponsibly. What I want to be able to do is to affirm people's experience.
Doing that, you're not. We hopefully what we have to start doing is not trauma bonding. I'm not trauma bonding with you, so I
All
don't.
right.
You already know what the lingo for me. I'm
I
not
do.
bonding with you, so
All right.
we're working. We're good. I think that you're doing a great thing in the community because you're not trauma bonding with the community. I'm just gonna. If you were, I'll be like, she trauma bonding.
Yeah, nah.
But you're not doing that, okay?
Nah. All right. I'll take that on your authority. Okay, so I'm going to do this song, and then I'm going to get out you guys' way for the other amazing artists that are coming through. Deidre White, Prentice Powell, my brother DC. Yeah, the DJ set so we could dance it all the way out. Shout out to Donna Jane, who opened us up with some somatic therapy. But let's do this. I want y'all, the way I do my somatic therapy is, you know, nod my head and a rap or something like this. Hey. Shout out to SOBRBE. White Claw. Have a great. Hey, sold to the highest bidder. Guess since they your owners, they can always call you nigga. ERNA, the era of the arrogant, the errors of our fame unchecked. Holy truth to be self-evident. American dreaming when you sleep. The European slippers on your feet. Red bottom, yeah, got him. Blood on your soul and the diamond. Sodomite elite can't compete with your conceit. It's Goliath. Giants, they do fall to him when they do. I'ma have me a clear view from my high horse throne. Through that rocket yours, my house made of stone. You could try to tame the shrew, but I slew the dragon. Puff, puff, and pass it all around. Weigh the scales on that scale, they ain't too big for my crown. If they a wolf, I bay a wolf. They bought this big, but I bite bigger. Chomp, chomp, whoop, whoop. All these whips ain't gold, chains ain't gold, crack ain't dope. Track gave hope, cause all these Negroes ain't sold, y'all. All these Negroes ain't sold. And all that wisdom ain't old. Brilliant ain't bold. Heard this told. Wisdom ain't old, cause all these killers ain't cold, y'all. Look, all these killers ain't cold, listen. They kill for defense, kill for revenge, kill with resent, never lament, kill with no regard for human life till sentence, and then it's repent. Plead to the courts, of course I didn't mean ill intent, hell-bent, trying to go straight to heaven. The justice system, leave it to them and they would let them. Reward them with a golden chariot and a reverend. Make sure that a black life here is irrelevant, you get it? Hypocrites always want to play innocent, always want to take it to the full out extent, always want to make it seem like good intent, never want to face it when it's time for punishment. In the end, my maker gon' make a way to get him. In the meantime, hold my peace, let the creator have his vengeance, and pray that no one gives me a reason to release intention. Be a mother with no son, a killer on a mission. Wolves in sheep's clothing in my homeland, Oakland. Taking over what was broken. In my hood, I'm feeling like I'm token, pointed, and so I play the game like it was coded. I heard, if you can't beat them, then you join it, point in. Bending don't break me, double jointed. Point is, this the way they want me to refocus, hopeless. And then they gon' question my neurosis. Don't go and blame me cause I'm crazy. Mistake my disenfranchisement for lazy, shady. They be, this the way you made me. Baby of the 80s, product of the 90s. Bush and Reagan got me trying to sing these games blue till I figure how to break free on the front page. They got another mother's baby, another shattered lady. Yeah, I'm questioning my safety cause you claiming you can save me. Plotting to overtake me. All these whips ain't drove, y'all. All these chains ain't gold. All that crack ain't dope. Yo, I hope this track gave hope. And all that glitters ain't gold. And all that wisdom ain't old. And all that's heard ain't told. All that's brilliant ain't bold. All these killers ain't cold. All these killers ain't cold. They just weak. Killers ain't cold. More scared. Killers ain't cold. They move in fear. These killers ain't cold, y'all. That's what I got for y'all tonight.
Oh.
So